If you've read the fantastic comic back in 2005 released called Star Wars Purge, then you know that this is a crucial moment for Darth Vader and Cortosis. In fact, this is a Cortosis blade used by a Jedi. After Order 66, they had manipulated Darth Vader into coming to them. There were about 9 Jedi who attacked Darth Vader simultaneously, trying to kill him, and with this Cortosis blade, the Jedi successfully deactivated Vader's lightsaber. But this is not the only reason the video is titled Why Darth Vader Hated Cortosis, because of course there's a lot more we need to discuss. Previously, what we've mostly known about Cortosis in canon was from Thrawn Alliances, the novel that came out a couple of years ago, and that is of course canon. Thrawn extensively talked about Cortosis and was interested in Cortosis. Even Anakin Skywalker certainly had a brief brush-up with Cortosis metal, and it just stands to reason that after so long, after not knowing that this was specifically possible, we have to ask the question, if there is such an advantage of having a Cortosis helmet as we see from Chimere, why didn't Darth Vader ever procure himself a Cortosis armor for himself, since it could short out lightsabers, it could deflect blasters, and all that jazz? Well, to answer this, we need to go back to, as I said, in the Thrawn novel, where we have a lot of information about it. This is what Thrawn said in regards to the rarity of Cortosis ore. He said that it's very rare, and I've heard stories about it, but never seen any. It's rumored to have unusually high energy absorption and transmission coefficients, to the point where many energy weapon blasts will be dissipated. In return to that positive attitude, he also said this: it's also soft and frangible, useless for building into armor or other protective materials. It appeared they found a method for weaving Cortosis into a network within a protective matrix. An energy impact is therefore dissipated across the entire network and throughout the entire droid armor shell. Now, if this last part was hard to understand, it essentially meant that working on the Cortosis ore, as we see Chimere, he is constantly working on his helmet, even perhaps adding other materials to it. As we see, it's scarred and disfigured, but it ensured that any incoming energy weapon, such as a blaster shot or swing of a lightsaber, would be dissipated if come in contact. But the problem that Thrawn came upon very shortly was that Cortosis armor had many difficulties with prolonged energy attacks, which would overload the material, so a concentrated beam would not only shatter your Cortosis, but it could damage the user pretty much very badly. Now you can slowly start to understand why Darth Vader never actually was interested in a Cortosis armor. You see, there's a reason why Chimere only has a Cortosis helmet, not an entire armor of it. So if Darth Vader didn't want to wear at least a Cortosis helmet, the reason being that it could prove more fatal than beneficial. Furthermore, let's take it another step. It was essentially Darth Vader thinking it was the coward's way out. You see, Vader never anticipated for anybody not only not to damage his helmet, but to not even come close. We see that Vader's whole persona is built upon his hubris, his intimidation, and all-around fear. Many of Vader's confrontations would not even go as far as battling someone. He would either force choke them, kill them. The rare instances we've seen him battle, it was against skillful Jedi that he ultimately killed as well. The only 2 people to have been able to actually destroy part of his helmet in canon are, of course, Obi-Wan and Ahsoka. Nobody else even came close. So the answer for me is quite clear. Not only was it more trouble than it was worth, but it was seen as the coward's way out. Ultimately, of course, we know that Vader was not a coward. He faced challenges head on. I believe that he would have seen Chimere and be disgusted by him. In fact, we've talked about Vader's armor extensively in another video, and there I pointed out pretty much some of the things that led Vader to not only not pursue Cortosis helmets, but his reasoning was much deeper. Also, I've seen fans speculate about the new suit as well, about an upgraded suit. No doubt Vader would have been an absolute terror to anybody with a new suit, to anybody who went up against him. This suit would have made him physically stronger, gave him more mobility, and he would have been resistant to electricity. This is the main issue and the main problem we come across, is that the old suit was specifically designed to not be insulated from electricity, and this was done intentionally, of course, by Palpatine, by Sidious, who wanted to keep his apprentice in check. Remember me saying in the beginning that Palpatine was not adherent to the old Sith traditions. He cheated at this point. With a new suit, Vader would destroy Sidious. I think that he would focus on his losses and how no matter what he did, he will never be the Anakin he once was. His physical pain wasn't even half of what pushed him so far into the dark side of the Force. In some of the novelization in the 80s, I remember reading something along the lines of, after so many years, Vader and the suit were one and the same, where metal and flesh were fused as blood, vein, and circuits. The only parts you could separate were the cape and the minor parts. Anything else could compromise and rapidly decay his zombie-like body. In the end, that armor was his link to this realm and the source of his pain, but a reminder that he was still alive. So Darth Vader's attire, of course, ranks amongst the most fascinating and symbolically potent designs in the entire Star Wars saga. It is towering, it is intimidating, and imbued with an aura of authority that perfectly matches the Sith Lord's stature. However, it also had its limitations. Of course, a prevalent question that often arises is hence the point of this video: why didn't Vader upgrade his suit? As one of the Empire's top-ranking officials, he certainly had the resources. And I think now it's the perfect time to actually find an answer. Let's provide a brief summary, shall we? It wasn't the loss of his limbs that truly incapacitated him, although it indeed impeded him and initially hampered his Force usage. The real nightmare of Vader's existence started with his burns on Mustafar. Anakin endured 4th-degree burns across almost his entire body. These burns penetrated beyond his skin, reaching his muscles, bones, and in some instances even organs. As we see, Vader has trouble breathing. His suit functioned as a portable life support system, but also served as a form of torment, deliberately designed by Palpatine as retribution for his defeat at the hands of Obi-Wan Kenobi. So Palpatine never anticipated that Vader could lose to Obi-Wan. In Sidious's view, Obi-Wan was unremarkable, he wasn't that special, and he wasn't the skilled swordsman in the Jedi Order, let alone being the all-powerful one in the Force. Nothing about Obi-Wan screamed that he could have a chance against the Chosen One. At most, Sidious regarded Obi-Wan as a mere emotional hurdle for Anakin at that time. He even says this to Yoda in Revenge of the Sith. It's somewhat surprising that Palpatine would utter such a statement, since he is primarily concerned with his own survival. So as a Sith, he is on his 3rd apprentice. Maul had subsided, Dooku was dead, and with Anakin following Maul and Dooku. In the Sith Handbook, Palpatine professes his belief that the rule of 2 ends with him. He explicitly declares his disinterest in finding a successor and aims to reign eternally, relegating Vader to just a subordinate. And if you go back and look at it, this is how he also treated his 2 other apprentices, and at no point do we get a real admittance that Palpatine would ever expect these 3 to defeat him. Darth Vader's suit barely kept him alive. This is evident in the material, providing the bare essentials for motor functions and survival, but nothing really more. The only reason why Vader was so powerful was because of his anger. Otherwise, his suit was really defective at many points. So why didn't he upgrade? Well, the answer is multifaceted kinda. A more sophisticated suit would significantly improve systems and movements, controls, but this new suit would have offered him nearly the same mobility as his old self Anakin and would have had superior auditory systems. But the first problem would have been that this new suit, even though it would have been ready and waiting for him, the process of transferring him to this new suit might have proven fatal. This is one of the reasons. The myriad of wires and systems keeping Vader alive posed a high risk of death during this procedure. Disconnecting him from the life support systems even momentarily could be proven to be disastrous. The surgical team would have had to rewire his respiratory system, his heart rate regulator, which could have proven lethal to Vader because of the time it would take. Even if Palpatine was willing to help, which I sincerely doubt, using the dark side to sustain Vader during this procedure, it would have been unlikely that it would have enhanced Vader's survival.